All right. So, welcome to Lens Studio. My name is Jonathan. I'm going to give you guys a little guided tour. So, we're starting off here on the Lens Studio home screen. This is what you see immediately when you open it up. Over here on the left, you'll have your home, you'll have templates, you'll have learn, and you'll have documentation. I'm going to say that the home page is great. You can see all of the newest templates. I think these are the most popular actually. And then if you go down to templates, you can see all of them. And this is going to be all the templates you have available for you. Um, Oftentimes, people feel like this is cheating, but honestly, they put the templates there for you to use them. So don't be afraid to dive in and get started. And eventually, you're going to be able to just create these from scratch. So again, don't be afraid to just dive in here and play around with them. I mean, just seeing the structure and how they're laid out is going to help you a lot. All right. Inside of Learn, you're going to see some quick guides on how you can basically, I'm going to run you through a couple of these, but you'll see some quick guides on how you can get started on creating, what you see, getting started, beginner course, interactive lenses, lens optimization, blah, blah, blah. You get it. Documentation will take you over to the website, and this honestly is great. I've been able to find a lot of things as far as like code and understanding why something you're trying to create isn't working. This has been wonderful. I usually like Google search and then it leads me over here. But there's some wonderful information in here. Lens features, you can see it's very well organized. You can pretty much find whatever you're looking for in here. Okay, let's jump back over to the studio. All right, well, as we're going to dive into some templates actually, but first I think we're going to take a look at a new project just so you guys can understand it a little bit more. Like understand the program a little bit more. And I guess here, up on this top bar, you'll find your lenses. So if I click here, it'll bring me to all of my lenses, and I only got 4. But as you can clearly see, I am a lens creator. Okay, so if you come over here to the left, we're going to click on New Project. So here we are. This is a blank space right here, and honestly, if you're not familiar with 3D programs, this is an awesome way to learn. This is relatively simple, but these are some of the basics that will allow you to dive into other programs such as Unity, Unreal, and honestly, Maya and Blender as well. So if you're not familiar with 3D Worlds, this is going to be a good start. First off, I am using a Windows PC. I try and use Windows just because I like to use a mouse. I feel like there's more control. And if you're a Mac user, then most of the same things apply, but I'm just using Windows. So let's just start off with like motion. You can move around by clicking I am right clicking and holding, and you see how I can move around in 3D space. If I use my wheel, I can zoom in, zoom out. And if I tap my wheel, I can move pretty much in any direction on I believe this is the X-axis, I'm not even sure, but try it with your left or your mouse and it'll make sense. Remember, we got the right click to move around a focus point. We have the left click to move around in space. And then we have the scroll wheel to zoom in and out. So this right here is going to be your scene. This is what we call these windows, and this again goes across all 3D software for the most part. Over here, we have an inspector, and on the left, you have your objects. Now your objects and your resources, a good way to describe this is think of your resources like all the ingredients in your dinner before you make it, and you can think of objects as the air fryer. So you're going to go into the resources, and this is where you'll add your images or your 3D objects or your code. And then when you come in here, you'll be dropping down any of those ingredients to make your actual scene. So there will be more things in resources than you're even using inside of objects. We have our camera. You can see our camera right here. And really quick, I'm going to jump back into resources and just show you some of the things. You can clearly see we have other cameras, we have 2D objects, you can bring in 3D objects, textures, cue maps, and I think we'll dive into some of that later. We'll see, here's a sphere, and these are some basic materials, and we'll talk about some materials later as well. Okay, so if we come over here to our objects, click here, you can see some super basic things we can just jump right into. So first off, let's just pop up here, and you can see that we can add a screen image. Boom. Now, if we add a screen image, this window's kind of weird. You can see we can look at the view. We can view it as a 3D scene, or we can view it as a 2D scene. You'll see it pop up right here. I should add an image in here. Hold on. So now you can see how that image will play out in your lens over here to the right in your preview window. You can also see that we have an orthographic camera that has been created. If we jump back to our 3D scene, you can actually see that camera over here. And the difference between the orthographic camera and the normal camera, if you double click, you'll jump right to it, is that this one is focused on 2D while this camera is focused on 3D. And this was created automatically when we added that screen image to our scene. So an orthographic image is going to lay flat right here through that orthographic camera, and the 3D camera is going to allow you to do those cool AR effects and give everything some depth. So I guess orthographic is flat, normal camera has depth. So we're going to turn this one off for a little bit. Let's jump back to our camera, and let's just do some basic things that I feel like Snap allows you to get started really fast. So we're going to do some basic effects. Let's see. Just to start off, we'll try a face mask. And you can see how that immediately was generated on her. You can play around with this a little bit. Look at how, boom, you get it. And what this is saying is, this is your image, and these points are a face mesh. So if I move this face mesh, I'm saying that this point of the eye corresponds with this part of the image. So let me find a better place. We'll say the corner of the eye right here. Now we know that this is the image. This represents the corner of the eye on a face. Now if I move this over here, it's saying that closer to the nose is where I want this to correspond on here. You can kind of see how that moves when you're playing around with it. Boom, boom. Or we'll take the bottom of the lip, and you can see how that image is stretching in order to correspond with where you're placing these dots. So that's pretty much it. You get it. Opacity is how much of this you can see on it. So if you play with this alpha right here, you can change the opacity, and that's what that means. But also, you can choose on here how much of this is being shown. You get it. If at any time you do something and you're like, crap, I should not have done that, you can always just go hit Control Z in order to undo. It's gonna be your best friend. ahead and, yep, here we go. Undo is Control Z. Redo, Control Y. So just always remember Control Z, Control Y. You'll be able to jump back and forth, correct your mistakes, or remake them if you like it. Okay. So now that we've got that, let's look at another one. Another simple effect. You can add these to pretty much any of your lenses on top of whatever you create. So these are just great ways to augment it a little bit further. So let's look at eye color. And as you can see, green has been set. Let's play around and we're gonna make her a member of the Uchiha clan. If you know, you know. So now she's gonna have red eyes. Let's play around with these blend modes. So you can see realistic, but let's go in here and where's it at? Let's hit overlay and it should make it way more pronounced. I guess not. Which one am I thinking of? It is Power Glow is close enough. And you know what? It turns out I'm looking for a blend mode, but really all I needed to do was pull up the alpha. That's what I was looking for. And now once I pulled up the alpha, I can use blend mode and I can go to overlay, and that's what I was going for. Okay. So again, the alpha is the opacity. It is how much can you see this. It's when you see a ghost and he's invisible and then he starts to appear again, his opacity is increasing. So now that we have this, let's play around a little bit further. So you can see some of these parameters like apply to, and you have both eyes, but let's put it on left eye. Now, either I can go into these effects and I can add another eye color, or I can take the one that already exists and I can duplicate it. And now I have a second eye color. And it just made an exact copy of that previous one. So now let's take this and let's move it to right eye. And let's change the color. Make it purple. Now she has a Renee gun as well. So you can see this is a simple way to augment. We'll do one more. We'll go in here and we will add, and I think a lot of people like to use this one. So we will use face retouch. So you can see it kind of does its best to get rid of blemishes and imperfections. And you know, that's that. Who's to say what an imperfection is? You know, we're all beautiful. So we can make this a 5. And you can clearly see, let's put it on 100. And that's her normal face. We put it on, or I guess 10 was the max. We put it on 0. And you can see how it's kind of blurred away some of the imperfections. And people like this because I think it makes them believe they look more beautiful. So if we take off auto mode, you can see how we can boost up the intensity. Now you got the whitest teeth, you got the sharpest eyes, and you got the whitest eyes. Boom. Now you're quote unquote beautiful, according to Snapchat. Sorry guys. Auto mode is usually enough though. And so let's hop out of here now. I feel like you guys should have a basic understanding of how you can use some of these things. She has a beautiful tapestry on her face now. We love it. Wonderful. So I'm gonna go back and close this, go to home. I'm gonna discard this. Sorry if you wanted to look at it. So now we're back. As you can see, we have a ton of different templates. So I really love this one. I think we're going to look at baseball cap. And we're going to look at distort. We'll start with distort. All right, now this is a super fun one, honestly. Um, and let me just add another piece to this. So over here, you can see the different types of people that we can have over here in this preview window. So we can either have a pair number 2, person 1, which is our favorite girl. And you can see already how she used to look versus how she looks now. So they also have some videos in here that we can play around with. And yeah, when you hit play, you can see it kind of animates. So what we got going on here, and this is something you'll be able to do with all of them after a while. You'll start to really get the hang of this. So we have a face insert. Look at that, boom. So it's literally the mouth enlarged. I'm going to Control Z that back over there. And you can make this mouth as large as you want it. How weird you want to get, Face liquefy. And essentially what this is a magnifying glass. So you can kind of see how that affects it. We have 2 points. You can edit these. You can change the radius, which means it's going to be a bigger circle. Change the intensity. Want them alien eyes? Got options. And then we got a stretch face, which is shrinking the head. And you can clearly see we can reset that out. You guys get it. And I like this one because you can just make crazy looking things like right off top. Like, come on. I don't even know what I'm looking at, but I like it. Very simple, easy. I didn't want to make it look like that, but you get it. We're going to hop out of this. And let's go to baseball cap. Okay, we got our girl back. We're gonna call her Cindy. Now, what we have here is going to be a script. And I like these. We can hop in here. We can click our baseball controller. We know we have yay, we have wow, we have sheep. Let's go sheep. And you can see how simple it is to just change that. We have our primary color, and we can just adjust this. Sheep are white. We're gonna make this thematic. and you get it. So what we got going on over here, let's just run through this a little bit. We have our textures. Our textures, and a texture is like wallpaper essentially. And we even have an animated one. So actually, let's play with that one instead. We're gonna come up here. We're gonna go to the baseball cap. All right, so this is a sprite sheet. These can be generated a lot of different ways. I will leave that to you to do a little bit of research and understand how these come together. But essentially, this is an animation pattern. And animation is just frame continuously flashing in front of your face the same way movies are. It's about 30 frames a second, 60 frames a second, 24, 12. So however many frames a second you want, this is probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What's 7 times 6? 42, 43, 44, 45. I have no idea what the frame rate is, but I'm sure you can adjust it. You know what? Let's dive in here. Let's see right here, frames per second. So you can adjust your frames per second. If you bring it down, it's just going to go slower and slower and slower. Beautiful. So from there, you understand frame rates, animation on a base scale, and you can adjust this frames for time. So let's say I wanted this to be 8 seconds. Ping pong's gonna make it go reverse and forward. This is a cool setting because it allows you to kind of give some more life to your animation, even if you didn't take the time to make it that complex. So if you want to check your lens out and try this hat on yourself, we can click Preview on Device. you should be able to scan this snap code. So open up Snapchat on your phone. You'll be able to scan this snap code, and it will send essentially a trial version to your phone so that you can try this. So let's say you like your hat, it's just what you imagine, and you want to show it to all your friends. We're going to come over here, and before we do that, actually, we're going to hit Project Info. This is going to tell us the name of it, the size of it, and who it's made for. Now, I'm going to say for the name, we'll call it Baseball Cap Cat. This is what it's going to be. This is what it's going to be referred to as when you go in. And this is what it's going to be referred to as when the lens is published. So a size, we have 1.7 megabytes. Honestly, I remember when this was 4, and I think 4 is a good size to aim for. Then if you shoot over a little bit, you land about the 6 or 8 range. And basically, you want to keep this number as small as you can so that it's working great on every phone or device, And it's just a good practice to learn how you can kind of decimate your assets, which is bringing their size down, or get creative in how you want to optimize your app. And a good example of optimization is this cat sprite sheet that we just looked at. So this sprite sheet basically has all those images, so you don't need to put it in MP4. That sprite sheet could be, 500 kilobytes versus that same thing as an animation now is 2 or 4 megabytes, which is pretty much using up most of your space. So you want to find ways that you can bring down the size of your actual lens. So I'm going to close this. Once we know those things, we can go push to publishing. You'll come through here, say if it's business lens or community lens. We're going to call this a community lens. You can choose to either submit a new lens or update a lens that you already have up and you just want to change it a little bit. Maybe it used to be, we'll use this example, maybe it was a dog face and you didn't like the ears, you changed the ears. Now you can update that to make it cooler or more fun, or maybe the ears animate now. So we'll close this. If you look over here, we can actually see all the different phone sizes, and this will adjust for that as well. And with that, we're done. For now.